Welcome to Lecture 4 of Spiritual Attainment in Kabbalah, presented by the Kabbalah Theological Seminary, a center of higher spiritual learning where the wisdom and science of authentic Kabbalah is revealed. Why does the Creator seem hidden? Is there meaning behind our struggles, silence in prayer, or moments of divine absence? What if concealment itself is part of a greater design, not abandonment, but an invitation? In this lecture, we explore the Kabbalistic mystery of divine concealment and how it gives rise to ego, free will, and your soul's ascent. You'll discover how even the darkness has purpose, and how your journey back to the light is built into the very structure of creation. What if the times you felt most abandoned were actually the moments when the divine was closest? What if your most painful experiences, your seasons of spiritual confusion, even your doubts, were not signs of divine absence but carefully designed steps toward your spiritual ascent? In the science of Kabbalah, there is no such thing as randomness. Every encounter, every emotion, every silence from above is part of a perfectly orchestrated system, what the sages call hashgacha pratit, or individual divine providence. But how can we believe that God is guiding everything when life so often feels chaotic or cruel? The answer lies in a profound principle. The Creator conceals himself, not to punish, but to awaken within us the longing to seek, to grow, to choose. Creation itself begins with tzimtzum, a divine contraction in which the infinite light of the Creator withdraws from a point in order to make space for the world. This withdrawal is not abandonment. It is the first veil, a concealment meant to grant the soul free will. Without this veil, divine presence would be so overwhelming that no choice could exist. Love would be automatic. Growth would be impossible. The soul would be fused in bliss, but unconscious of its source. So the Creator hides, first through tzimtzum, then through the layering of the five worlds, and finally through the dense filter of the ego. This concealment is like the scaffolding around a divine architecture. It appears too obscure, but it's there for the sake of building. And the soul's task is to see through the veil, to learn the art of perceiving providence even when it is hidden. This is not blind faith. It is the training of perception. Kabbalists teach that there are two forms of divine governance, Hester Panim, concealment of the face, and Gilui Panim, revelation of the face. When God's face is revealed, everything feels illuminated, coincidences align, prayers are answered, the soul feels guided. But in concealment, God's presence seems absent, events feel senseless, and the world appears governed by chance. Yet even in this darkness, nothing is random. Hester Panim is not the opposite of providence, it is providence disguised. Baal HaSulam teaches in Introduction to the Study of the 10 Sephirot that the greatest gift the Creator gives is the concealment of His presence, for this allows the soul to grow through its own effort. It allows the human being to cultivate Emunah, faith that matures into da'at, deep inner knowing. He writes, "There is no greater revelation than concealment, when it is understood correctly. For what you seek in darkness becomes internalized. What is given in light is merely observed." The Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, in Derech Hashem, echoes this structure. He explains that all of creation is governed by a perfect system of reward and rectification, where the soul is placed in a world of concealment, so that it may earn resemblance to God through its own striving. Divine guidance, then, is not reactive, it is proactive. The Creator is always orchestrating a perfect path tailored for each soul. Even suffering, according to the Ramchal, is not a punishment, but a midwife for greater spiritual capacity. The Zohar adds poetic fire to this framework. In Zohar Part 2, 42b, it states, "The Holy One, blessed be He, is called the Hidden One, and all His ways are hidden. But those who walk in His ways come to see the hidden light." This is not a metaphor. It is an encoded blueprint of spiritual growth. The Zohar even compares divine concealment to a lover who hides only to awaken deeper desire in the beloved. The game of hide and seek is the way love matures. So how do we apply this? The first step is to reinterpret the narrative of your life. Moments that once seemed abandoned can be reframed as training grounds. Disappointments become invitations. Delays become divine orchestration. Each unanswered prayer may have been the very silence needed to deepen your yearning, refine your ego, or prepare a vessel for something greater. Practically speaking, this means that every emotional reaction can be seen as curriculum. When anger arises, ask what layer of control you are clinging to. When disappointment strikes, ask what expectation has been misaligned. When you feel lost, ask what illusion of self-sufficiency needs to be shed. In this reframe, concealment becomes revelation in disguise. Spiritual attainment, then, is not about transcending this world but seeing it clearly. Every event is a coded message. Every delay is a pause to sharpen your seeing. Every confusion is a prompt to seek. And with each act of reframing, each moment of faith despite concealment, you draw light down from above. You enact a zivug, a coupling between the human longing below and the divine plan above. The mystics describe this process like the sun behind clouds. Just because you cannot see it does not mean the sun is not shining. And often the clouds serve to soften the light, to make it bearable. So too with divine concealment. It is a mercy. It is a mirror. It reflects to us the work still needed within. When you understand this, the bitterness of suffering transforms into sweetness. You realize that the Creator is not playing games, but raising you, like a parent guiding a child who must learn to walk. Every fall, every bruise, every cry, it all contributes to the soul's maturity. This week's reflections invite you to observe your past with new eyes. Choose one spiritual trait, such as humility or patience, and observe how concealment challenges or strengthens it. Recall a time when you felt spiritually abandoned, and ask, what emerged from that darkness? What strength, clarity, or new desire was born? And what divine orchestration can now be seen where once there was only confusion? Remember, concealment is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of consciousness. When you begin to search for the hidden hand of providence, you begin to ascend. You begin to move from Hester Panim to Galui Panim, from exile to homecoming, from reaction to alignment. And through this process, the soul becomes what it was always meant to be, not just a receiver of light, but a conscious participant in divine love. This lecture is part of the course Spiritual Attainment in Kabbalah, presented by the Kabbalah Theological Seminary, a school of truly higher spiritual learning, where the science and wisdom of authentic Kabbalah is studied through rigorous theological study and personal transformation. To learn more or enroll, visit kabbalahseminary.org.